arrest me because I violated 2-minute rule.
My name is Gail Brent. I am a resident of Guilford.
What are you charging me with? What are you charging me with? For disorderly conduct.
Because he broke the 2-minute rule?
Extraordinary video. A dad in New Hampshire put in cuffs for speaking out at a school board meeting. Now, he was ticked off about a required reading assignment for his 14-year-old daughter that included very graphic sex scenes. But this may be even more shocking. A new report showing absolutely no improvement in test scores for high school seniors, despite the fact the government's been shelling out more than $600 billion a year to educate our children. So is it time for the federal government to get out of our schools? Hi, everybody. I'm David Asman. I'm a little ticked. Welcome to Forbes on Fox. Let's go in focus with Steve Forbes, Mike Ozanian, Sabrina Schaefer, Elizabeth McDonald, Rick Unger, and John Tamney. Sabrina, you've got kids in school. Are parents losing control of their kids to the government?
They sure are. Losing control, and they're losing taxpayer dollars. Look, the fact is our education system is a travesty, and it's because we have no market in education. I don't think people realize that spending has been going up for 4 consecutive decades, and our test scores have remained flat in reading, in math, and science. Public schools spend 93% more than the median private school. Can you believe that? And I don't think people realize just how much. I live in Arlington, Virginia. We spend $26,000 per student. Washington, D.C., $28,000 per student. So where are the results?
And Rick, I mean, for parents, when they try to speak out, they get kicked out of the meeting and get locked up sometimes.
Yeah, not just kicked out, apparently arrested. That's just insane. Although it did give me an idea. We should have the same rule for politicians when they're debating during presidential debates.
Well,
we could get them all off the stage.
That I could get behind, yes.
Look, you know, I think you have to be careful not to be too quick to blame the federal government. Where I grew up, the education was very much under the control, local control, parents, etc. And as I'm afraid I bear witness to, education wasn't much better. Just look at me.
All right. but Mike Ozanian, look at the spending that the federal government has been doing since it really began to get involved, starting the Department of Education. $2 trillion of federal spending. We see that spending going straight up. Look at that skyrocketing at the end there. And what do we have to show for it? Test scores have remained flat.
Well, David, I have a daughter in the 1st grade in Glen Rock, New Jersey, and the teachers there are fabulous. But one of the things they express to me and my wife is they're concerned about losing control over how the money is spent, over the shape of the curriculums, and how they can actually teach the children. Things like Common Core, which are supposed to be, you know, basically to help the local communities, they're really devised by big bureaucracies, and federal funding is tied to these programs like Common Core. It gives less flexibility to those classrooms.
I was in Chicago. It was the same thing. We all of us teachers knew that some of these core programs weren't working, but we had to do it in order to keep the federal dollars coming in. EMAC, there was another incident in Baltimore. This happened in September, where again a parent spoke out against this sort of core curriculum that Mike was speaking about that teachers don't like, but they have to do. And he was cuffed. He was kicked out and then cuffed as well.
Yeah, those people who are pushing for these parents to be arrested, they should be immediately fired and get out of the way.
Look, by the way, this is, excuse me, this is the clip from Baltimore.
Listen, the state and the federal government, they work for the parents. The parents don't work for them. Right. What's going on here is R-rated books are being, you know, in the curriculum for 14-year-olds. Those people who do that, who put that in the curriculum, should be fired. The question is the core curriculum. Will it work? Will a one-size-fits-all standard work? Diane Ravitch, who's an education reformer, says it won't magically create great teachers. And listen, teachers have it really hard. The parents need to be more involved with what's going on at the student level. It's unfortunate that that parent right now, in that clip, got arrested.
Yeah, when parents try to get in charge, they get kicked out or even arrested. Steve, Milton Friedman, a great economist, used to say that parents started losing control as the unions started gaining control. Now, we have a lot of sympathy for teachers, but again, these teachers' unions very often distort what they get.
Yeah, the head of the teachers union in New York City was caught on tape telling his delegates how he helped sabotage the teacher evaluations, how he hates reformers, and we've got to get rid of those reformers. They think it's all for them, not for the kids. And that's why you need school choice, genuine school choice across the board. That's the only way you get accountability. Soviet-style monopolies do not work.
Yeah, well, look at when we ask for accountability, return on all those trillions of dollars we've been spending, John Tamny, what we see are math scores and reading scores essentially at the same level that they've been for years.
Well, I think that's part of the point. I mean, all this talk about per pupil spending and teachers' unions really does, in my mind, miss the point. You show me parents that are interested and who send kids to school each day telling them to go learn something, and you will get good educational outcomes. There's all this talk from conservatives, and it's correct about how we want to rid society of victimhood, but with education, suddenly parents and children are victims of bad teachers. I think that's a mistake. Those who want to learn will learn, and we've got to see more of that if we want to fix schools.
Hold on a second. By the way, you sound like my wife says there are no victims, only volunteers. So I got to follow you as far as that goes. But Sabrina, you're a good parent, I'm sure. You take care of your children. I know Mike Ozanian does as well. It's not your fault necessarily that the education they're getting is substandard, right?
No, of course. And one of the most important things is that we create a marketplace, right? That's how we make sure that we're going to get the most effective, most efficient, most diverse education system out there. Because let's not forget, we are a very big country with different values, different interests, kids with different needs. And a one-size-fits-all simply cannot accommodate all of those different needs and interests.
By the way, Mike Ozanian, I'm wondering if you're going to end up getting cuffed, because you go to those meetings, you ask some very pointed questions, right?
I do, and I love hearing from the teachers, and one of the things they always talk about is they need flexibility. You know, look, even in the state of New Jersey, we're close to Newark, not that far away. Newark spends, I think, in the top 1% per pupil, and their education is terrible. And a lot of the problem is that even the really good teachers in Newark are really weighed down by the rules that come from the state and the federal government and the union. They need the flexibility to be able to do what they can do and to teach the children.
So, Steve, sometimes the unions that are supposed to be representing the good teachers just represent mediocrity, and the good teachers get lost in the shuffle.
Absolutely. They're just out for the dues. And part of being a good parent is the ability to pick the school that best meets the needs of your child. We're not all the same. Sabrina's right. That's why you need school choice. That's how you get more parent involvement. Then other parents can see what schools work and don't work. That's what the marketplace is about, choice and accountability.
Rick, I think one thing that we've seen from this segment is you look at the spending, and it is federal spending we're talking about right now. $2 trillion of federal spending alone since 1965. There hasn't been a payoff for that.
Yeah, there's no arguing the numbers. You're stating the numbers accurately. We're spending a lot of money. We're not seeing a payoff. I wish I was more of an expert to tell you where the problem and the answers are. I will say this. I have to do it. You know I'm pretty sympathetic and supportive of unions. There are times when the teachers' unions are doing more harm than good. I don't like that good young teachers with interesting new methods are the first to go, while people who may not care so much anymore are being protected. That's
right.
Not
you know, I totally agree with Rick Unger, and coming from a family of teachers, give merit pay, give bonuses to those teachers who are really doing right by their kids. The unions tend to block that. What really hurts children, too, is poverty as well.
Sabrina, how do you get through the unions, though? We're stuck with them in most of the country, and they don't want these standards. They want everybody to be treated exactly the same, even if some are better than others.
Right. I mean, that's certainly why our argument, especially for young women, many of whom are teachers, we say, hey, you know, it's better for you to not be part of a union, because the fact is you can't negotiate anything that's going to be better for yourself. You're going to be, you know, dragged down by the lowest common denominator.
All right. Well, stop locking up our parents. We can start with that one thing. It's very simple. Coming up next, blocking investigations and giving bonuses to workers who are watching porn. The new EPA allegations that'll have you and all other taxpayers fuming.
When we have an employee who's looking at over 600 porn sites in a 4-day period and it's there in black and white, fire them.